What would you like to work on today?
So the truth is there's something that it does affect me quite a bit, and as a lot of traumas, I really don't want to look at it, but I'm going to try to look at it anyway.
You're saying there's something that has a lot of trauma to it?
Yeah,
that you don't
like
want to look at?
even just talking about it now, I get it. A real knot in my stomach. It was a very disturbing event, and that's what it is.
And since you don't really want to work on it, what makes you say that you are agreeing to work on it?
Well, I think we all know that traumas in the end they're very painful. That's why you don't want to look at them. It's like ripping a Band-Aid off, but it's still like can affect your behavior and not the best ways. So I think it is worth talking about.
So you think it has benefit?
Yeah,
for you?
I do.
Okay.
Even though I'm just saying, like, part of me really does not want to talk about it.
Well, we could work on that part first if you want, and do some IFS before we start brain spotting. Would you like to do that?
I don't think so, because I mean I think I just should do it.
Do you want to just check in with the part that doesn't want to look at it and ask it if it would be willing to give you some space?
Well, there's no such thing as a half of a conversation, so okay, we can do that.
I don't want to push you to do something.
Well,
that
you
don't
already
want to
asked my part. My part says, look, there's a lot of painful things in this person's life, and it's my job, to protect him from those things, and this is one of them. And so, if the committee thinks it's a good idea, fine, but this is my job, and there's a lot of things that we're protecting from.
So does more need to happen for there to be permission?
No, I think we can do it. I think it's not a begrudging, passive aggressive permission. It's just permission.
Okay. So what is this traumatic experience that you want to work on today?
Well, I never liked swimming. As a kid, I never learned how to swim properly, which is a whole story. You really have to wonder why in the 20th century does a middle-class child doesn't learn how to swim. But whatever it is, it didn't really learn how to swim, and going to camp therefore was kind of, amongst many other reasons, also kind of torturous. When I was 16, I finally made up my mind. I did a lot of those things when I was 16 I went through a period of like self-improvement and like solving my own problems. So I did a lot of different things at that age, and one of them was I was pretty determined to teach myself how to swim, and actually I ended up going to the Y and really swimming quite well. I taught myself all different strokes, and I would do 30, 40 laps and whatever. But I can't say I ever really enjoyed swimming. I just did it because it was a good exercise and it was something, and I taught myself how to do it. I always didn't like the way the chlorine, gets into my noses and everything, and I don't like have a great love of swimming to begin with. And then many years ago on vacation, I went snorkeling at a coral reef, and even though like I know how to swim, I'm not a natural swimmer. So if I'm in a contained swimming pool of X number of feet this way and that way, I can swim fine. But I don't really feel comfortable, and I do have a tendency to panic and choke up. Anyway, so I'm doing this coral reef thing, and it's really, really beautiful. It's actually heavenly. What I didn't realize is that I was getting a lot closer to heaven than I should have been. And I kind of wake up and realize I'm pretty far away, like from shore and civilization. And the truth is, here I have all this snorkeling equipment, the shoreline is visible, there's really no reason that I shouldn't be able to swim back, but I do this. In certain situations, I will panic. So I'm panicking. I'm not really swimming well. I'm kind of floundering, and it wasn't good. It really, really wasn't good. The I will give a lot of credit to the lifeguards. I'm pretty far away, and somehow or another they noticed that I was floundering. I couldn't believe it. I thought for sure while I was floundering, I thought like, dude, you have to get yourself under control because there's nobody's gonna rescue you this far out. Anyway, they come to me very fast on like a kind of paddleboard, surfboard kind of thing. It's really impressive, which only increases my panic because now I don't have to get under control. So I'm totally freaking out. But they're coming really fast, and they do rescue me. You know, it's not like, oh, they need to pump water out of me type rescue, because I didn't end up like in any way drowning, but it was not good. And after that, I just like I said to myself, I don't even like swimming that much, you know, so like why even bother? So I really don't go swimming anymore, even though swimming and ocean, they're not related. You reach a certain age, you say to yourself, well, why do you bother to do things you don't want to do, even though everybody else acts like it's a lot of fun? So I really don't enjoy swimming. On the other hand, well, it was a very terrifying experience. It did really feel like I could have died. You know, this weird thing, you're on vacation, you know, take a selfie with a crocodile, like type of mentality, nothing bad can happen to you, but really bad things, you know, could happen. And it's pretty chilling because I don't ever want to die, but I definitely don't want to die on vacation. I mean, of all the unnoble ways to go. And so even when I think about it now, it's just extremely, extremely disturbing. And I don't know if it really matters if I swim or not, or what ways, you know, it might like shape my behavior. But anyway, that's the trauma, this memory of almost drowning, and maybe even like the idea that like to die on vacation is like so creepy, like it's so unnecessary. Like, you know, if you died on the way to work and there was a terrorist act, you know, God forbid, like, okay, so you're doing something sort of purposeful and noble. It just feels weird. That's at least as disturbing to me as much as the fact that I could have died. I could have died on vacation.
So which piece feels most important for you right now? Two pieces to this traumatic, terrifying experience that you had surfing and with snorkeling. One is that you almost drowned, and the other is that it's creepy that you could have died on vacation.
Yeah.
And you said that they're equally disturbing. So which part do you want to start with?
Well, I'll tell you something interesting, and this is why you never know what you get into until you get into it. Like, the more that I reflect on it, maybe the real issue here is why, like, and I know why, but I'm saying, like, why still? Why should it feel so bad, like, to die on vacation? I know that sounds crazy, but my point being that, like, the vacation has to be justified. Like, the vacation is a frivolity, and then so because it's a frivolity, and on top of that you die, like, what's the matter with you? Like, you should be doing something better with your time.
So, like, judging yourself for going on vacation.
Right. And then, so I'm thinking, you know, especially like, everybody grows up differently, you know, for sure, but I think some people could recognize, and certainly somebody from a religious background, there's definitely like this tremendous hesitation to like enjoy things. Like, even when you're enjoying things, somehow, you know, you have to justify it or rationalize it. And from a religious point of view, that's not completely false at all, but maybe it's a little too much. Like, here's why it's a little bit too much, or why it's neurotic. If you're going on vacation, like, okay, let's say you think it's too much of an indulgent, it's too hedonistic, so don't go on vacation. Or go on vacation that you think is not indulgent or hedonistic. But why go on a vacation that you think is indulgent and hedonistic? Like, why do that? And then also feel like you have to justify, like, let's just, like, that's neurotic. Like, maybe the real thing I'm thinking, because it doesn't bother, it's chilling to think that I almost died. I won't say that it doesn't chill me. I have other near-death events to them. When I think of them, they really make me uncomfortable. But I don't know, like, it's okay, I suppose, to feel uncomfortable about recollections of being almost near death. I don't know why that requires a trauma treatment. But what's interesting is, yeah, like the more that I think about it, why should I feel? I'm not on vacation every week of the year. Actually, I tend to work pretty hard and use my time very well. Like, I think that's a very interesting point. Can I be freer to enjoy a vacation that intellectually, like, makes sense or fits with my morals, that that I've decided that that's the right thing to do? And why am I, why is my superego like hounding me? That I shouldn't be allowed to have a good vacation.
So you feel in conflict about the idea of vacation in the first place.
I think that's actually, in a way, that might be the most important thing to look at, even though it's not terrible. It's not like I can't enjoy vacation. But it's interesting, like, how it niggles in the background, and what does that do? I don't know. Does that stop me from enjoying certain things? Or it's interesting. So I think I want to focus on that.
Okay.
Actually.
So I want to try some brain spotting on the disturbance about the conflict about vacation.
Yeah, about being allowed to have an indulgence, a leisure.
Mm-hmm.
A pleasurable leisure time. Okay.
And what's the emotion that encapsulates this conflict?
Fear, dread.
Fear, dread?
Yeah, mm-hmm. See, it's very interesting. I wouldn't have thought of this except that we're, like, focusing on it. Right, why fear and dread? Like guilt, right? No, it's fear and dread because I fear that something bad's going to happen. It's exactly the scenario of dying on vacation without actually it happening. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like, this can't be so good.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, the car's going to blow up. Right? Something's going to go wrong. It can't be that good.
Mm-hmm.
And I know where that comes from, actually.
Do you want to say more about that?
Yeah, it doesn't even come from, like, it's very interesting. It doesn't even come from, like, some kind of psychological, not like a guilt about having, but more like, because in my life, especially in my early developmental parts of my life as a young child, there were like very sudden losses and changes of status, economically, financially, even geographically, like very sudden changes. And so I think it's the sense of dread, and therefore almost like a kind of, you could call it superstitious, or you could call it in some way, like a religious kind of offering up a sacrifice so that, I won't, arouse like the anger, or the jealousy of the deity, right? Like because bad things can happen, and you're on vacation, having a really great time. Oh, you better like not enjoy too much, because, if you become too arrogant and too haughty, as the verse in Deuteronomy, I think, says, and Jeshurun became fat and became a scoffer. That the hedonism itself would lead to like a lack of religious connection, therefore like, arousing like some kind of punishment. So it's a two-step process. It's a sense of doom that's not religious. It's definitely psychological, that a lot of important things were lost suddenly, and that's deep in me. And then because of that, like a warding off, trying to ward off any bad thing from happening by being on my best behavior.
Yeah, wow. So fear and dread, where do you feel it in your body most?
Anything that's worth feeling, I feel in my stomach. So, right over there, just dread, like a knot.
Okay. So I'm going to move the pointer across your field of vision and tell me where you feel it the most. Here?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, I'm going to move up and down and tell me where you feel it most strongly.
Right there.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So this is your spot. It'll stay here
Uh-huh.
until we both agree that it's time to take it down.
Got it. So, is there significance to the spot aside from the personal one? Like, does it pay to talk about, like, why it's seems to be very active in that zone?
No, that's not important.
Okay.
You're going to focus on the fear and the dread. You're going to focus on the sensation in your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And this is your spot. Now, it doesn't mean you have to stare at it the whole time.
Okay.
If you need to close your eyes to focus, you can do that.
Okay.
You can avert your gaze. You can look anywhere around in the room.
Got it.
Eyes open, eyes closed, but this is the spot. It'll be waiting for you.
Okay.
So just notice the fear and the dread
Yes.
about vacation.
Yes.
And you can share as much or as little as you want. And let your body, your mind, your emotions do what it needs to do.
Well, I mentioned that it's a fear and a dread, it's only secondarily related to vacation, right? It's really a fear and dread of losing, like, good things, right? So, do we alter that? Does it matter?
You stay with what feels the most real for you.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
I know you weren't sure if you wanted to listen to the music. How do you feel about doing that?
I'll give it a try.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a bilateral.
Bilateral music, specially designed for brain spotting, by David Brand. How's the volume? It's okay. All right, so come back.
Yeah, just make it a little lower.
Yeah.
Okay.
So notice the fear and the dread in your stomach. You can share what you notice or not.
Well, I do feel the fear and the dread. It's strong. It's hard to stay with that intensity, so it fades a bit.
What's the level of intensity 0 to 10 right now?
5?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a 5. What's supposed to happen?
What do you notice?
Sorry?
What do you notice?
I mean, I do feel the feeling, like tension wavers.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel the feeling of dread and fear.
So
Yes.
how distressing does it feel to you now? 0 to 10.
Maybe a 3.
Mm-hmm. If there's any other thoughts or memories that come to you can share or not share?
I just have this overall, it definitely is it's a very deep thing, this overall feeling like it's so strongly fixed from my childhood, just that, like good things are going to be taken away, like they just get taken away.
Good things get taken away.
I really do. There were just so many things that hit at the same time. Maybe I was like 7 or 8. It's just not. It's like, and it was very disruptive because I actually had like a lot of security until then. So in a way, like it's worth, like if you grew up with constant upheaval. But I think actually, for many years, every family has its quirks. My family had plenty of them, but there was a lot of stability during that time, during my early childhood, up until that time, and it was, in some ways quite charmed in a good way. So I think the losses of different things, economic stresses that hit the family very suddenly, geographical stresses, they really did affect.
So when you were 7 or 8,
security.
lots of things got lost.
Lots of things, like a real, just
Good
not a sense of
things.
security.
Good things got lost.
Yeah.
Good things
Yes.
were taken away.
Yeah, so it's, it's very hard when I'm enjoying myself on a good, vacation or something like that. Like I'm thinking it can't be something, something terrible has to happen,
Because you were having it good. And at 7 or 8, those good things were taken away.
Right, that's why the pattern is exactly the same, so the instinct doesn't know the difference. Bear or lion, it doesn't matter. The instinct doesn't know the difference. Like, it's this pattern, things are going good, and then boom, they're going to disappear. Like, it's a very strongly, felt and believed, idea. It's just inside. Like, I'll lose it,
So when good things happen, the fear is I'm going to lose it.
Yeah. I'm sure that it stopped me from enjoying or accessing certain things.
And vacation is one of those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Check in with your stomach and see what else is there.
Check in with my stomach and
just see what else is there.
It's just a dread. It's a nice amount of dread.
And just focus on it. And whatever needs to happen, let it happen.
It's definitely less than the feeling.
So what is it at now?
1.5.
Oh.
Doesn't feel quite like a 2.
And you started out bigger than a 5?
Yeah.
What was it at?
Maybe like 7 or 8.
And now you're at 1.5?
Yeah.
Okay, so just see what does the 1.5 represent? What's left? What still needs to be coming out?
It's interesting because it feels like that too, like I can't let go of it. Like I shouldn't let go of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe if I, like I have to suffer a little bit, you know.
Okay. You feel like you have to suffer a little bit, so you can't let go.
Right, which is you know, silly and superstitious and neurotic, because you know it's not really a moral equation. If there was one, that'd be different.
And it comes from an important place, so it's not really silly.
Right. But it's, you know, just like you have to always be on guard, because you're gonna lose, you know, you lose something.
Yes.
If you're on guard. That's another thing too, actually. It's interesting, all these things that I didn't put all the pieces together quite in this way, but I'm also always hyper alert. Like I always have like backup plans and backup plans to backup plans, you know, which generally speaking serves me well. I'm the kind of guy you want to have like on a desert island, you know, but like it's just interesting. I see that it's all about the same thing. It's all about trying to have contingencies and to be alert, you know, in case of loss. Like if a glass is about to tip around the table, like my reflexes are so fast, whoosh, like I'm gonna grab it. Like it's a stupid glass, who cares? Like it could break also. But it doesn't matter, like it's like that. I'm always like on alert to catch something, you know. So maybe, you know, the inevitable loss won't happen.
Yeah.
Is that hyper arousal like from trauma? Because I'm not like I grew up. My mother went through World War II in England, and the V2 rockets. Like if a plane would fly over, she'd jump out of her seat. Like I'm not like hyper vigilant. I don't even get startled by loud noises. Sometimes quite the contrary. But if something is, but I'm alert somehow or another to a threat or a loss, and will
good things being taken away.
Yeah, react very quickly to that, really quickly. So it's really all part of the same, I think, continuum. It's interesting. So I don't know if I want to let go, because being very alert and always having contingency plans have paid off tremendously. You know, little things.
So maybe you're thinking about maybe keeping that 1.5 because it served you so well.
In a way, yes. Like, you know, we're traveling, and somehow or another I foresaw I've got that extra piece that you needed, that flashlight. Another piece of ID, because we lose one ID. Oh, you know, like, just silly things that most people just let things happen, and then the uncalculated thing happens. Okay, they figure another way, you know, around it. But like I would always have like the backup, you know. So it's interesting. I mean, I could still let go of it, I suppose, but I do think there's a part of me that like wants to hold that, to always be motivated, to be foreseeing some potential danger. The radar is, you know, up and looking.
So it's a lot less intense and powerful, and you're thinking you should leave some of it there.
Yeah.
Because it served you so well.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything you want to do with the almost drowning when you were snorkeling that time on vacation? Or does this feel complete for now?
Well, the interesting thing is the panic. Because I knew I was panicking, and I knew how bad that was. And really, it really could have spelled disaster. And it was totally unnecessary, because I had snorkel equipment. You don't have to be the biggest swimmer in the world to swim back to shore. I mean, that's what it's designed for you to be able to be face down in the water and breathe. It was just total panic. And what's crazy is in most like emergency situations, I don't panic, like because of partially this whole thing of, you know, having like contingency plans and always, you know, literally and figuratively mapping out the exit route. So it's just weird, like why in some cases I would panic, and then get flustered and not like actually be able to think, when so many times I actually can, you know.
So you're wondering about the panic that you experienced then because it's not really something that happens to you often.
Right, only I guess like certain things, but then when it does happen, like it's totally non-functional. I mean, this could have really done me in.
Do you want to focus in on the panic?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So is that also in your stomach, or is that somewhere else?
Well, it's in the stomach when I recall the panic, but the panic is it's a whole body thing. It's just going crazy. That's it, So it's not good. I even like I give you a much more like kind of everyday example. It really does fascinate me. So a friend of mine was borrowing my car, and lo and behold, the battery was dead. And this person who's not mechanically inclined at all calls me up. I don't know what to do. Blah blah. Anyway, it was a relatively new car to me. So I didn't even know where the battery was. And these days, you can't for the life of you even tell where they put the battery. Everything looks the same. You don't even know whether it's in the trunk or in the engine died. It's crazy. So this person was stuck. They had a plane to catch and borrowed my car. And I was on a deadline. But of course, as I said, I have all contingencies planned for. And the trunk of the car is a rechargeable, car jumper. But I have to talk this person through who's not mechanical. I got to help them. It's a car that I'm really not familiar with because it was a car that I recently acquired. The hood latch, the second hood latch that you have to do to open it up in the front, find the battery compartment, unscrew it, and jumpstart the car. Oh, and also the jump starter was just bought for an emergency. It was totally in its package. It wasn't assembled or anything. So here I am trying to talk through to this person. And there are many, many technical details. I have to keep looking stuff online and getting up images of what the engine compartment looks like and then guiding the person and back and forth. And within 45 minutes, under incredible pressures, I had an appointment I needed to run to. My friend had a plane to catch. Talked the person through it totally, got the car started. Complete like miracles, like trying to land, talk somebody else down how to land a plane. The thing is, and here's where it's crazy, I know myself. If I was in the same situation, in other words, I was not guiding the other person, I would have gotten so flustered and panicked, I would have given up a few times. It was incredibly hard to find a battery. Like I said, with these new cars, it's just not obvious. You just don't see a battery. It's hard to explain unless you used to drive an old car and now you drive a new car. The battery was not in an obvious place. On top of that, it was underneath a whole panel that had to be unscrewed. The machinery to do the jump start also was not intuitive. Where to plug in the pieces to make it work. And I just would have panicked and given up. And anyway said, oh, and there's another thing, we didn't even know the battery was dead because it's such a new car. It was showing all these electronic things. It actually didn't tell you the one thing it should tell you, which is, dude, your battery is dead. It was flashing all these weird error messages because when the battery's low, the computer doesn't run well. The error messages were everything like between you need to get a new engine, to just shut it down and restart it. Like, it was ridiculous. So it's also part of it was all that effort and not even know that it was going to work. And I am sure if I was by myself, I just would have given up and called a lift or something. And it was only because of the other person, I felt bad for them. They had a plane to catch. They wasn't going to make it in time. So I ended up just really talking the person through, but I never would have done it for myself. My panic would have overtaken me. I know it. The panic would have overtaken me, and I wouldn't have, taken care of the issue. And it's stupid. I mean, here it's not even a big deal. It's just I'm very handy mechanically. I'm so handy. I was able to talk this other person through it. But myself, I even finding the hood latch on this car was so counterintuitive. The hood latch, when I finally went to the car a week later, which still needed a battery and I needed to take care of it, I couldn't even find the hood latch, even after I helped the other person find the hood latch. I can't imagine if I was panicking. And yet, like when I panic, I really panic. It's so weird. So yeah, I don't know. And other situations, dire emergencies, like I've got it all under control, Yet sometimes I just, even silly things like that, like I'm panicking, who cares? So
can you get a sense?
Don't figure out the car,
Can you get a sense of the panic in your body?
Yeah, you know.
So where is it?
Well, forget about that. I
know
had
you
such
said
an
it was
interesting
everywhere.
flashback. No, but I just had such an interesting flashback. There were so many times as a child where also like things didn't work out and they were supposed to work out, and like this sense that you can't, that like you're overstepping your bounds and you can't do it. See, I was very handy as a kid. Even a very young child, I would like take apart things and put them back together. And my grandfather, who used to live by my parents, he passed away. All his leftover tools, he was extremely handy, was in the garage. So, and my father was not handy at all. So it was just like a playground of all these tools, which I would use to fix things in the house that my father anyway couldn't fix. And but some of the times I would take things apart and not be able to put them back together. And also, I wouldn't exactly have the right tool. That's one of the biggest things. You have to have the right tool. But I wouldn't have the right tool, and it would cost too much money, so I wouldn't want to buy my parents for the right tool. And I'd be using these wrong tools to try to fix something, and everything would just fall apart. And it's like this sense of doom and gloom, like you can't do it. Like, I panic. There was another thing wrong with my car recently. It's very organized, okay? You just follow the directions. You take the pieces apart. Different panels have to unclick and click. And yes, it's annoying, and each little click or screw has a special way to do it. But the truth is, I more than know how to do it. But with my own car, I'm looking at all these body panels and these pieces, and I just get freaked out. And like, I can't do this. And I just freak out, like, and panic again. And I can't really put it back together, you know. Maybe I give up and take it to the mechanic, or maybe in the end I figure it out after many hours instead of. But it's the same thing. But it's like a sense of. It's almost like a sense of transgressiveness that like I have no right. Like only a mechanic could fix a car, which is not true at all. Really, most things you could fix yourself, except for like don't try to fix the air conditioner. Granted, but like most things you could fix, they're not really that hard to fix. So like. It's always that sense like I'm gonna get in trouble, like I ruined it, I spoiled it. First of all, who cares? It's my car, so like what mechanics? So some of these mechanics do like shame you. Yeah, you thought you could do it yourself, right? Well, who cares? You can do that. Just charge me the extra $5 and don't make fun of me. Like, but it's interesting. It's that sense I can't do it. When really, first of all, I can. Most of the time, I can't. And if I can't, who cares? It's my dime. I can try to fix it.
So it feels transgressive.
Right.
To fix something that should really be in the mechanic's domain.
Right, exactly. Like it's weird. Like you know, it's like it's Oedipal. You're stealing something that belongs to only to, to the big daddy. It doesn't belong to you. Like you can't take your father's tools. I took my grandfather's tools, and those because nobody else was going to take them or use them anyhow. But like, and that didn't feel bad. I don't think, although it was really a treasure trove of every kind of knick-knack and doodad and things.
So what was that like when you took your granddad's tools from the garage? Was it a transgressive?
I think it still was a little transgressive, although it did redeem itself because I did fix an awful lot of things. Like I said, my father was really not handy, and on top of not being handy, he didn't have the time. He was working all the time. They didn't have the money to pay for the repairs. I really fixed a lot of things using those tools, and I still do, in my own house. So it's interesting, but it's dread. It's dread, and the panic overtakes you. Like you're in over your head, buddy. Like you can't fix your own car. Yes, you can, but you can't.
Okay. So where's that panic and dread in your body?
Also, my stomach. That's definitely in the stomach.
Do you want to pay attention to it more?
It's just very real. So it's very interesting how powerful it is. And the loss, they're not totally unrelated because, first of all, fixing things is warding off the loss of good things. Your favorite toy, if it breaks, most kids are helpless. If their bicycle breaks, most kids are helpless. I was helpless if it cost money to repair it because at that time in my childhood there wasn't enough money, but there were things that could have been. So it's interesting, like they both fit together. Like the repairing things is a little bit about also like warding off loss, but then also this other sense of like being guilty and it's too good. And no, you can't. You can't fix that. Like you're in very much in big boy domain. Little kids don't get to take apart giant appliances and repair them.
Little kids don't get to take apart giant appliances.
Right. And it's a little bit like, it's like related even like to an imposter syndrome, which fortunately I don't suffer too much from, but like the idea, you can't have that. You can't be that good. You can't be an expert at it. You're too inexperienced. You're too young. You can't. It's really all related very interestingly. But the level of anxiety about the repair, like the panic/repair, like you can't repair it, it's going to blow up in your face. And by the way, if you're a little kid and you try to fix things, many things do literally blow up in your face. That's not a joke. Things actually do blow up, sometimes pretty violently, never to the point of of actually, getting blown to smithereens. But if you wire something up wrong, and electricity is flowing through it, it has a way of letting you know that it's very insulted. Things have gone up in flames before, but it.
You were a brave kid.
What?
You were a brave kid.
Well, I mean, it didn't feel brave. It felt like what I needed to do to fix things that needed to be fixed once in a while, like anything, especially if you don't really have any professional expertise. Yeah, I was doing it just by instinct because I'm very good at pattern recognition. So you could just see by looking at it what wire is in the wrong place. You just can tell it's in the wrong place, or you can notice a component that looks burnt and realize right away, okay, that's where the issue is. But anyway, I think I don't have as much of dread associated with that. And I also think, interestingly enough, because they're connected, even the dread for that went down. But like the dread around, you can't fix it. You have no right. You're too big. You're trespassing. In all the garages, of course, it's ignored by the customers. But customers are not allowed beyond that point. Right? Like that sense. But it went down, even just from I think the other brain spotting. But I would say it's about a 2 or 3. That feeling you can't.
You can't.
Like I said, you have no right to. It's going to blow up in your face.
You have no right to.
Why are you doing this? Who are you? Who do you think you are? Of course, like I said, I can say that about anything in my life. Most of the time, I'm doing things. Who do I think I am? Very difficult things, even dangerous things. I mean, that's what I do. That's why it's interesting. It only affects me in certain areas. I guess swimming, being in the coral reef, it was something, who do you think you are? You're not a swimmer. You only learned how to swim when you were 16. You know how to swim. I guess that was a part of the factor. You can't do this out here. Like, only, 6'5" Aryans can swim that far out and not die drowning. Our ancestors probably sunk on the boats, like, right? Like that's I think it's actually very, it's kind of oddly, it's all related. Like I see it, the panic happens if I feel I'm getting too big for my britches,
You have no right. You're being too big for your britches.
Yeah.
So what's your thought now about what happened in the ocean that time?
Well, I never would have believed in a million years how connected they are. I do think that they're very connected. And I do think that it is about, like, feeling you have too much, being afraid to have much, feeling you don't deserve it. And panic ensues of one form or another. And it's good to be able to reduce that sense of panic and dread. I don't think we're done with reducing that sense of panic and dread, but I think it could be reduced.
So where are you up to now? How's your stomach feeling?
Maybe a 3. Yeah, as I'm dwelling on it.
Mm-hmm.
Should we go back to that spot?
Sure.
I feel like we need to try a different spot because of different
Absolutely.
different issues. Like
Absolutely.
do that thing.
Of course. So do you feel it in your stomach or is it somewhere else?
In the stomach.
Okay. So you tell me where you feel it the most.
Yeah.